Hi friends, it's me Pixie. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do my October reading wrap up. It's the first week of November, so I was really depressed to put up my Halloween decorations because apparently it's not normal to just keep skeletons and tombstones and fake body bags in your front yard. But that's besides the point. Besides books, I kind of wanted to touch base on different things that, interested me or I did this past October. Things like what music I was listening to and just what activities I did, what shows I was watching, what movies I went to go watch. So I hope you enjoy what we're about to get into. So in the month of October, I read 6 books, which for somebody who works a corporate job and also tries to do things besides reading, I think that's pretty good. Most of those books were either digital or audiobooks, which audiobooks do count as reading. And I do have some of them physical and some of them I just don't. For the most part, when I do read physical books, I always buy the Kindle copy or check if Libby has the Kindle copy because for me, it's just easier for me to take my Kindle everywhere I go. I'm also a huge mood reader, so I will go in and out of different books if I'm just not, feeling the vibe. So starting off the month, I wanted to read some thrillers, some horror books, just to get into the spooky season. I am a little disappointed to say I didn't read as many horror books as I wanted to, but I did have the Halloween vibes there, except with one exception, and you'll see. So starting off with the month, I read She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. I buddy read this with my best friend Devin. This was... It was a really good start to finish thriller. I gave it 4 stars. I've read another one of her books called Local Woman Missing, and I wasn't a super big fan of that because that one just didn't... I hate when people say what I'm about to say. That one was just not... what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic. And I know that's so... I don't like when people say that because... most of the books we read are not realistic, but in Local Woman Missing, something happened. It's so hard to talk to you guys about thrillers without spoiling it. But we'll just say something happens after the big reveal, and it just didn't make sense to me. She's Not Sorry was a really good book because you start in a timeline with a nurse who... she's working and she's dealing with patients that are in comas. She's helping them out. And one of the girls that is in a coma there was found from jumping off of I believe a train track. She fell off something. And they didn't know if it was, sewer slide or if somebody actually, her parents didn't believe that it was, they're both bad, but her parents didn't believe that it was sewer slide. So they go into this investigation and things just are coming up really weird, and there's somebody who's out there who's stalking the girl because people are showing up in the hospital room and the nurse is like, what the heck, who is this people? But then those people start stalking the nurse because they think she knows something, and you follow these timelines and it's just crazy. When Devin and I read them, it was immediate like, what the heck, I couldn't believe this happened, and oh my gosh, it makes sense. It's definitely one of those thrillers where you want to go back and you want to reread it. If you like The Silent Patient, you will eat this up. I'm telling you right now. The next book I did was an audiobook. It was Funny Story by Emily Henry, and this is where we're kind of like, Pixie, you said you were going to do a lot of spooky reads. I wanted to finish Emily Henry's, what's it called? Like, a discography is everything that an artist has written. Oh my god. Everything that Emily Henry has written, I've wanted to read it. So I read Funny Story this past month, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was a little different than a lot of her other stuff. It's her most recent book that's come out. You have a girl who gets dumped, and the guy's leaving her for her best friend. So obviously she needs somewhere to stay, and for some reason she's up rooming with the best friend's now ex-partner because he needs a roommate. She got kicked out of her house. And I think with Emily Henry's writing and her stories, for me personally, I do read a lot of romance, but I'm also very cynical sometimes when it comes to romance, and if they're too cheesy or too corny, sometimes I just can't do it. But with Emily Henry's writing and her stories, they're always so much deeper than just a romance story. And with Funny Story, it's funny. It is funny. I was literally kicking my feet because she just really brings these people in and you feel like you're there and the relationships are really real. So if you haven't picked that one up, definitely do so. I gave it 5 stars. I will also tell y'all right now, since this is a new channel, I rate my books based on vibes. I'm not somebody, if the writing is atrocious and just so bad, I'm probably not even going to finish the book. But if I give something 5 stars, it's because it sat me down the whole time. Maybe not the whole time, but it was something that I was like, ooh, I really want to go back and pick it up. So here, we rate strictly on vibes. I'm sorry if you reading is subjective. If I rate a book something that you don't agree with, that's just that. That's the beautiful thing of having opinions about books. Now, a complete swing, and I'm telling you, most of these books I read at the same time. I will probably read about 3 books at the same time, right? So my brain is switching from romance to thriller to horror. This is Mayfly by C.J. Lead. I think I gave this one, let me see. I gave this one 3 stars. But it was so entertaining. Like, maybe 3.5 stars now that I think about it. This is built with feminine rage. If you've read books like Bunny, you'll eat this up. If you enjoyed Bunny, because I feel like with Bunny, it's you either love it or you hate it. Mayfly is about this girl named Maeve who lives with her grandmother, who's not really, she's alive, but she's hooked up to machines. Her grandmother was like this famous Hollywood actress, and Maeve moves in with her because her parents just don't want her anymore. Maeve ends up moving in and living there, and her grandmother, her grandmother was like one of those people who just hates everybody, which I get sometimes, So the relationship she had with her grandmother was really special because when she was conscious and able to talk with her, she literally let Maeve in on secrets that nobody knew about. I'm talking, once again, so hard to tell you guys the things I love because of spoilers, but this one, if you want a horror themed book that's not scary, this is it, but it is very gory. Check trigger warnings on any books I ever recommend, because at the end of the day, what triggers me may not trigger you, and what triggers you may not trigger me, and that's just how it works. But with Mayfly, she works in like a Disneyland-esque job being a princess who resembles to me Anna or Elsa from Frozen, and if you were to see her, you would be like, oh, she's totally normal. No. She is a serial killer, in a sense, and you follow her adventures, and you're literally living inside her brain, and it's crazy because you want to hate her, but you don't. It's just so like, check it out. Oh my god, check it out. After Mayfly, or during, who knows, I did Beach Read by Emily Henry. This was the last book of hers that I had to read. I gave this one 4 stars. This may sound really stupid, and you can light me up in the comments, but I was expecting them to be on a beach the whole time. They're not. They are a little bit more up north, which I know up north you still have beaches, but I live here in Texas, and our beaches are hot, kind of gross, but, they're beaches. I've been to beaches up north in, like, the Washington, Northern California area, and those beaches are a little different than ours. So those were, like, that was that setting, right? I love the fact that Emily Henry will write about authors, but they never feel like it's the same, because book lovers, and I kept getting book lovers and beach read confused because they're both about writers, but not the story. I was just getting the title mixed up. But both of these books were so different, but so good. And it's not even like an enemies to lovers book. It's more like work rivals or past rivals, because she knew the guy that she meets back in college, and she didn't really like him, and he was just kind of like, in my opinion, in college, was kind of like a stuck-up butthole. But her dad ends up dying, leaving her this house, also to find out that her dad is having a full-blown affair while her mother was sick with cancer and dying. So once again, Emily Henry does such an amazing job of making these relationships so much deeper, because you're not only following her, trying not to, but she is falling in love with the male main character, but also going through something as traumatic as finding out one of your parents was in an affair, and they're gone now, so you can't yell at them, you can't get mad at them, you have to kind of walk those steps on your own, because even her mother didn't want to talk about it. So I think that's why Emily Henry is where she is, because she can just put you there. I've never had that happen, but oh my god, the pain you feel, but it's also like realistic in the sense of like, it does have, her books always have a happy ending, but it's so much deeper than just the two characters that fall in love. The next book that I read was The Haunting of Ashburn House. I read this for my in-person book club. I gave this book 3 stars. I also feel like something is really wrong with me. A bookmark. I did read this book physical, so that's good on me. But I think something is wrong with me in the sense that when my book club was reading it, we have our book club on Fable, which is really cool because we're able to like talk about the book within sections without spoiling it for other people that have not gotten to that place yet. So as I'm reading the book, I read it a little later than everybody else because we still wait for the last minute to do everything, and that's on ADHD. I would read it and people would be like, oh my god, I can't sleep. Oh my gosh, I had this nightmare. I was falling asleep reading it. And it's not because the book necessarily was bad, but it just, I don't know. The last month we had read We Used to Live Here by Mark Kuehler, and that was creepy. That one was like, ugh, I should not be reading this at night. So to go from one haunted house to another haunted house, it was okay, but there was just a lot of questions I had. Once again, I think this was my common theme. This was like her great aunt that she never met. She died, gives her this house, does it, and also, I'm sorry if I forget their names. Her name was Adrian. Adrian gets this house from her great aunt, and everybody, it's in this small little town, everybody is like, oh, that house was creepy, I don't like it, it's, we think there's ghosts there, there was this horrific murder back in, like, the 1900s, and, I don't know, it's just a common theme that these older people aren't liked, and then Addie was not weird like Maeve, Adrian, Addie, they called her both in the book, but you follow her into this house, and there are literal, like somebody took a knife and would engrave messages on the wall, like no mirrors. She doesn't listen to that rule, obviously, because they never do. It says no mirrors, light the candle on Fridays, your family is still dead. And she obviously doesn't do any of that stuff. So the consequences of her own actions are the hauntings of the Ashburn house, obviously. It was entertaining. Once again, if this is a book that you want to get into when it comes to more on the suspenseful thriller horror side, but you don't want to have like too much gore or any of that stuff, this is a good book. I gave this one 3 stars, so vibes were still there, just something's wrong with me and I think I wanted something scarier. I also had Beach Read this whole time, and I wasn't holding it up, so I'm sorry. I do have the physical copy of Beach Read. Did this audiobook. I did all of Emily Henry's books on audio because they were just so easy to follow along with. That's besides the point. Now, the last book I read was a arc that was given to me by a indie author. It is Rook and Rebel. This is by Kate Crew. This is a dark romance, so once again, I'm telling you, check your trigger warnings. I think she puts trigger warnings in the front of the book, so that's always good. That's always good when authors do that for their readers, because I don't think I get triggered by a lot. If I were to tell you my triggers, you would say you're weird, because I am weird, but there's not really a lot that will make me completely stop reading a book. But anyways, Rook and Rebel was given to me. Thank you so much, Kate, Crew, and Hunter for giving me a cute little PR box. Came with a cute mug, a cookie. If you know, you know. If you've read Rook and Rebel. Dark romance. So still, in my opinion, in that like Halloween vibe, because it wasn't spooky, but it was dark. But you follow a kind of, she's not even like, I wouldn't call her like a goody-goody rich girl, but she is a rich girl who is closed off to a lot of the world. Reagan is the female main character. She is an artist. Her dad is one of those super powerful rich men in the city, literally owns everything in the city, but he doesn't want her involved in any of the like family business or any of that, which she's always been like, I came back from art school to help you, because he was sick. He is sick. He was sick. He is sick. I believe it was cancer, and she comes back, but he just kind of wants her there for like a show. Like, this is my beautiful daughter. She's just here to shake hands and be a puppet. One night she meets this motorcycle riding man named Rook. He is everything opposite of what she's dated. He is possessive, he is grumpy, he is protective. He's kind of funny too, which me calling a man funny is something that is not very likely. I rated the book 4 stars. I am super excited because they are coming out with, I think she said 3 or 4. One is a novella, but of the different characters in this world, because it's like a little biker gang, and they are, in my opinion, they're kind of like vigilantes, right? Like, cue vigilante shit. No, they're not even vigilantes, because now that I think about it, they do bad things. But it's okay. We excuse their wrongs, because that's what we do in the book world. He finds out that when he meets Reagan, he calls her Rebel, because she's like, well, I'll do it. And he's like, no, you won't. You're a good girl. And she's like, watch me. So, love that for Reagan. But when he finds out Reagan's actual name, which is Reagan Fletcher, he's like, oh my gosh, your dad is a POS. Her dad took everything from him, and he basically plots with his little biker gang that he's going to use her as revenge. So, he plots that he's gonna like make her fall in love with him, blah blah blah, and then her. It doesn't happen, or does it? I don't know. I do know, but it was just good, because you love a good revenge story. You love a good, like, I love when it's like an enemies to lovers, but she kind of didn't even know they were enemies, but he was like, I hate her, but I love her, and it was like an internal struggle with himself. So yeah. Okay, so that was my reading wrap up. Now we're going to get into my TBR. Do not come for me, please. I obviously am a huge mood reader. I will say I'm going to read these books next month and probably read a few. There are books that I have to read for my book clubs, so we'll talk about those. But the other ones, honestly, I don't know. I'm looking at them and now I'm like, are we being realistic here? So, starting off, my 2 book club, Friends with Books. I'll put the link in the description. Great online club if you want something. We are reading The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I already have it downloaded on my Kindle from Libby, so haha. And then my other book club, my in-person book club, we are reading The Enchanted Hacienda, which goes into my next thing. I want fantasies. I want to read fantasies this month. I'm a fantasy girl, but I don't want to read thick books, which you're also going to be like, Pixie, you're literally lying to us right now. I want to read some fantasy reads this coming up month, but I also have arcs that I have to read, but they're romances and they are hopefully shortish. So I think I will be reading those alongside the fantasy reads that I'm doing, because sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and read a cute little romance. So we'll start off with my TBR for this month. I haven't even started. It's the 7th. But these last couple days, I have felt like I've lived in just You know that episode of SpongeBob when Squidward starts his new life away from Patrick and SpongeBob, and he's just going with the motions of life? That's how I felt. But we're good now. As good as we can be. We're going to remain positive. That's all I'll say on that. If you know, you know. So jumping into November wrap-ups. I don't even know if this is considered a fantasy. I think it is. It's kind of thick. But I got sent this book last month. You probably already saw it. I haven't read it, but I've been dying to read it. She is kind of thick. Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I have heard nothing but great things about this book. It's thick, but it's fine. Ooh, I love the little chapters. It's giving Caravel, and I've heard Caravel, that's what this book is kind of like, but like more in an adult sense, and I love Caravel. I need to finish that series. I was sent that by Forever Publishing. Thank you so much. I need to read it. I will. And then I was sent another arc. This book's already out too. I will read it. Thank you to, oh my goodness. I got sent this book from Booksparks and HarperCollins. This is Gentlest of Wild Things. This is a sapphic fantasy romance that is based on the Greek or Roman gods. I go into my books blind, so I'm definitely going to read this because I just got the audio on Libby, and it's a novella, and I miss these characters so much, even though I'm not going to see them in this, but I'm going to be reading Powerful by Lauren Roberts. She's small. I got the audiobook. I'm going to just pump that one out. Fantasy reads. If you haven't read Powerless or Reckless, you can't read Reckless without reading Powerless. Do it. That series is my personality. I'm telling you, I've told you before, we are doing it big. When this third book comes out, I'm already in the process of getting an Airbnb for my book club so we can just read it and die. I am expected to do that the week after the book comes out, so let's see if I can hold off on that. The other book I want to read, you notice how I just had to struggle to move two books that I'm not going to show you just yet. I want to read The Luminaries. I've had this one for a while. She's also a short little fantasy read. This gives me dark academia vibes. This is beautiful. Once again, we're going in blind. Her name is Winnie Wednesday. That's adorable. Here's where you sit here and you tell me, Pixie, let's be realistic. You read 6 books last month. The average about 5 to 7 books on a good month. You're asking for a lot. But, hear me out. These are giant. I think it's time for me to do the tandem read. I'm in the middle of Throne of Glass, and I really wanted to finish this entire series this year. I was going to be real. I've been realistic about finishing this book in a year. This series in a year. I finished ACOTAR in 2 weeks. All of them. But I ate that up. And right now, I feel a lot of feminine rage. So I think it's perfect to go back in and visit my favorite assassin. I am scared. This is at least, let's do math. I don't want to spoil it, but hold on. Where's the thingy? I'm trying to give you a page count. Okay, we're just gonna 667 plus 662, so that's about 1,200 pages, right? Hold on. That's about 1,300 pages, a little bit more, because I guesstimated on that. So, yeah. That's my reading wrap-up. That's my reading wrap-up. It is what it is. We'll figure it out. Will I finish these books? Don't hold me accountable. Because I'm going to come up here next month and be like, here's my November wrap-up.
And you're going to be like, Pixie, those were literally none of the books but 2 that you read.
It is what it is. That's what reading's about, right? It's like a TV show, which is going to get us into our next part. We're going to talk about some of the shows, movies that I watched this past month. So, October was my birthday. Woo! I turned an age that I turned 32. Embrace it. I'm living my life in the 30s. It's great. we had a spooky movie party for my birthday. We watched 2 scary movies, which was The Nun 2, that one was cool, and then we watched probably, it's so crazy, one of my favorite horror movies now, which I don't even consider to be super scary. It was more of a, it's unsettling, that's what I describe it, was Longlegs. Oh my god. Nicolas Cage, that man is no longer looking for the Declaration of Independence. He is now living in my nightmares, because I had a dream about Longlegs the other day, and I woke up, and I looked at my partner, and I said, I dreamt of Longlegs, and he was like, you need to stop watching that movie. It's such a good movie. If you like movies that just make you say WTF all the time, please watch Longlegs. There's so many Easter eggs in the back of it, too. Like, that's why I don't rewatch a lot of movies, but I will rewatch this one because I find new things every single time. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's about this detective who's going around solving these murders that are happening, but they've been going on for a span of years, and there's a certain pattern to them, and it's just crazy. Longlegs is the serial killer, and oh my god, he's crazy. He's ugly. He's crazy. So those were the 2 movies. Well, no, I also watched The Substance. I almost said The Substance. The Substance. It has Demi Moore in it. That movie was disgusting. It was entertaining, but it was gross. Don't watch that movie while you're eating. I did, and I couldn't look away. It's about Hollywood and Demi Moore's aging, and she takes this pill that pretty much creates a second version of her, but the other version is young, and it's just wild and disgusting. So if you have a very sensitive stomach, don't. But I'm like, do watch it. Just close your eyes, but don't watch it. The 2 shows that I watched, I finished watching Grotesquerie, this past month. That's another show that I am still, like, I thought it was only going to be 1 season and we're going to get all the answers in 1 season. Unless it is 1 season and then they just leave me the way they left me. I'm also watching Agatha All Along, right? Yes, Agatha All Along. I am a huge Scarlet Witch fan. Wanda does no wrong in my book. Everything she has ever done is valid. Agatha All Along, though, the beginning, the first couple episodes, I did not get into it. Now I'm in it, kind of. It's just something that we watch when we eat dinner, but it's good. Let's get into the music that I listen to. I am I listen to a lot of pop and I listen to EDM. But my main music genre is, like, I love to feel things. I love my music to tear me up, rip me apart, sometimes have a cool beat to it, but for the most part, I am a lyrics girly. I love lyrics. I also just love to make myself sad. I love a good story in my song. I do love, a little but for the most part, I just love lyrics, My top 3 artists this month was Gracie Abrams, Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter. For those who know me, you must be really shocked that Taylor was dethroned. I am kind of a Taylor Swift fan, just like a little bit, just small. I'm a huge Swiftie. Taylor, I've listened to Taylor Swift since I was in the 7th grade when I sung Teardrops on my guitar at the talent show. There is no video evidence of this. I am thankful for that. So happy. But I love Taylor. And it's so funny that Gracie and Sabrina are my top 3. Oh my god, I made a mistake. Sabrina is not on my top 3. It's Paramore, which is still funny because Paramore and Taylor are besties. I saw Sabrina Carpenter last month, so that was my thing. But Paramore is and will always be ride or die. I was a little scene girl back in 2000s era with MySpace, bows, teased hair, you name it. Hayley Williams is still a goddess in my opinion. But yes, Gracie Abrams has taken over my life because of one song, which is well, not because. I saw Gracie in September and it was amazing, and that is girlhood. Like, Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams and Sabrina Carpenter and even Paramore, I've seen them all live. Girlhood. Like, the safest place you'll ever feel is at one of those concerts. The Gracie Abrams song that is number one, and I think it's number one for a lot of people, is That's So True. Ooh, sorry for making your ears bleed. I literally will just randomly start, but I think I lost it. I'll take off my earrings, putting up a fight, don't you know the vibe? And then her ooh woo, that's stuck in my head. That is the first song that's top 3 on my wrap up for October, along with Cool by Gracie Abrams, and Felt Good About You, also shocking, by Gracie Abrams. I love finding new artists, but they still are very, like, in that comfort level of what Taylor Swift is for me. I did discover Gracie when I went to see Taylor Swift, and it was life-changing. She's the only Nepo baby that I can get behind. That's Gracie Abrams. She's just amazing. But other than that, October was such a good month for me. It was my birthday, Halloween, lots of fall things, and just, you know, living life with my friends and my partner and just pumpkins. And I wish I could say it's cold, but it's not. I'm literally in a tank top. That's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed my reading wrap up. If you like this video, definitely don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram. That's where majority of my daily, sometimes not this week, but that's where most of my content goes to. But I have been having so much fun shooting these YouTube videos, and I hope you have been enjoying watching me ramble on and on and on. So definitely subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks.